Ronda Rousey's shocking return wasn't just another MMA fight night. It felt like a turning point for the entire sport, a moment so massive that even the commentators themselves struggled to contain their emotions while speaking live on air. The atmosphere surrounding the first-ever MMA event broadcast on Netflix carried a different kind of pressure, a different kind of energy, because everyone involved understood they were witnessing history unfold in real time. One commentator openly admitted he had never felt more grateful, more emotional, or more fulfilled during his entire career, and the tremble in his voice revealed just how deeply personal the moment truly was. This wasn't simply about calling fights or filling airtime for another combat sports card. This was about years of sacrifice, years of believing MMA could eventually become a fully mainstream global attraction, finally paying off on the biggest streaming platform in the world. Netflix brought the sport to hundreds of millions of viewers worldwide, many of whom had never watched an MMA event before, and that alone transformed the night into something far bigger than wins and losses inside the cage. The entire event carried the feeling of a dream becoming reality, not only for the fighters but also for everyone who had spent years helping MMA grow from a controversial niche sport into a global entertainment powerhouse. The commentator repeatedly emphasized how important it was to document this moment, almost as if he knew instantly that people would look back at this night years later as the beginning of a new era for combat sports. The emotional weight behind those words reflected how much the industry has evolved over the last decade, from struggling for legitimacy to commanding center stage on the world's largest streaming platforms. But while the historic Netflix debut created excitement and celebration, it also created enormous expectations. Fans wanted spectacle. They wanted unforgettable moments. They wanted drama worthy of the massive hype surrounding the event. And then came the fight everyone was waiting for. Ronda Rousey, once considered the most dominant woman in combat sports history, stepped back into the cage against Gina Carano in a matchup loaded with nostalgia, legacy, and unanswered questions. For many longtime fans, it felt surreal watching two pioneers of women's MMA standing across from each other on such a massive stage. The build-up promised emotion, redemption, and potentially one of the greatest comeback stories combat sports had ever seen. Gina Carano's journey back to the cage had become one of the central narratives surrounding the event. She had reportedly spent over a year rebuilding herself physically and mentally, losing massive amounts of weight, rediscovering her love for martial arts, and preparing for one final opportunity to prove herself under the brightest lights imaginable. The anticipation surrounding her return wasn't only about whether she could win. Fans simply wanted to see how far she had come. They wanted to witness her compete at a high level again after such a long absence. They wanted moments, exchanges, drama, and emotional payoff. Instead, everything ended almost instantly. In just 17 seconds, Ronda Rousey secured a devastating submission victory that sent shockwaves through the entire MMA world. The arena exploded, social media erupted, and millions watching from home struggled to process what they had just seen. Some fans viewed it as the ultimate statement performance, proof that Rousey still possessed the same killer instinct and elite-level ability that once made her the face of women's MMA. Others, however, felt underwhelmed. They had waited for a battle and instead received a blink-and-you-miss-it finish. The commentators themselves openly admitted understanding why some viewers felt disappointed. One even confessed he wished the fight had lasted at least 60 seconds longer so fans could truly see Gina Carano test herself and showcase her growth. That honesty added another emotional layer to the entire broadcast because it reflected the complicated reality of combat sports. Sometimes dominance can actually leave audiences unsatisfied. Sometimes greatness arrives too quickly for people to appreciate it properly. In a world driven by viral moments and social media reactions, the conversation surrounding the fight quickly became less about technical brilliance and more about entertainment value. That's where Jake Paul entered the picture. Known for stirring controversy and dominating online narratives, Jake Paul's reaction immediately fueled speculation and debate across the internet. Rumors spread that he had essentially dismissed or banned Ronda Rousey from relevance after the quick finish failed to deliver the prolonged spectacle many expected. Whether those claims were exaggerated or not, the controversy itself became part of the story, highlighting how modern combat sports are increasingly shaped by influencers, online personalities, and viral discourse rather than purely by athletic achievement. In today's entertainment landscape, perception matters almost as much as performance. A dominant 17-second victory can simultaneously be viewed as legendary by hardcore fans and disappointing by casual viewers searching for drama. That contradiction became the central theme surrounding the event. The Netflix platform amplified every single reaction, every criticism, and every hot take because the audience was so much larger and broader than traditional MMA broadcasts. Millions of casual viewers tuning in for the first time expect X-faced while entering the live combat sports world for the first time. Traditional MMA promotions like the UFC operate like finely tuned machines built around years of live broadcasting experience, but Netflix was stepping into unfamiliar territory where unpredictability can instantly disrupt production plans. The commentators explained how unusual it felt trying to maintain momentum after such rapid finishes, especially during a globally historic event carrying enormous expectations. Yet despite the chaos, the emotional reactions from those working the broadcast remained overwhelmingly positive. One commentator repeatedly described the night as the most fun he had ever experienced in his entire career. That statement carried significant weight because it demonstrated how meaningful the event felt from the inside, regardless of public criticism or complaints about pacing. To the people involved, this wasn't merely another fight card. It was a cultural breakthrough proving MMA had officially entered mainstream entertainment at the highest possible level. The personal stories attached to the event MMA and combat sports overall. Streaming giants like Netflix are changing how fans consume fights, how narratives spread online, and how fighters build mainstream popularity. Viral moments, social media debates, and crossover celebrity attention now shape public perception just as much as championship belts or technical skill. The event symbolized the collision between old-school MMA culture and the modern influencer era where every outcome immediately becomes content for millions of viewers online. Yet beneath all the controversy, emotional reactions, and hot takes remained a deeper truth that many fans recognized. The night represented a massive milestone for combat sports. It showcased how far MMA has come over the last decade, evolving from a sport once criticized and marginalized into global entertainment capable of commanding